Hello, our dear viewers. Welcome to this week's community show. And in this show, we talk about matters that pertain to communities in Uganda. We talk about things that are ongoing, things that affect, things that impact our various communities. And today, we are talking about something that is closely connected to the season in which we are, and that is holiday time. Holiday time for adults, yes, but also holiday time for the youngsters. Youngsters, our children are in their holidays, and we want to see and explore how these holidays can be used to enhance skills development for the young people in holidays, the children, the pupils, the students who are in their holidays. And to discuss this further, I'm joined by a distinguished team of experts in this area. Proceed with the conversation. I'll begin with you, Denize, then Hannah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. The last bit of your conversation wasn't clear, but I think it was all about introduction. So my name is Denize Asasira, and I'm a teacher by profession. I teach languages.
Okay, thank you very much. Over to you, Hannah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Musiime. A wonderful morning. Thank you, Denize, for joining us. I'm happy to be here. My name is Hannah Mellon Kenyangi. I am an all-round seasonal entrepreneur, but my background is teaching, and I'm happy to be here to talk about skilling the youngsters. Thank you for hosting me.
All right, thank you very much for that warm introduction. So we now want to delve deep into the conversation. Young people are in their holidays, and as teachers, how would you, first of all, assess the previous term, the previous time, education sort of season that they have been in, and you've interacted with them? What do you think has changed? What do you think has improved from your perspective? How would you assess the stage at which the children are in Uganda, considering we had a pretty serious lockdown that slowed many things and took even the education sector quite years back?
Thank you very much for this moment once again. I would first of all say I thank God for the COVID period. For it helped us, the majority Ugandan, who thought maybe online studying science subjects, getting acquainted with technology was for the rich and the middle income. I am happy that it happened and everyone was pushed out of the comfort zone. And this has enhanced, for instance, on my side, I would give a brief on what I do with the young children. We run a STEM program, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. It gives an opportunity to children from 4 years to 17 years to access basic computing at their age and in their different capacities. We teach them using play materials to learn the concepts of science, concepts of technology, the concepts of engineering and math, robotics. And because we have had this program running, the children that have been on were not so much really affected by shifting from our usual traditional white and blackboard learning to now the screen. So it's been a blessing in disguise that Uganda also had embraced science education, as you've been following news and Ministry of Education. So I think in regards to today's topic, Uganda at large and us as individuals, we are moving to the better side where our children will be equipped with skills of problem solving, innovation, entrepreneurship, depending on where we are operating from. Thank you.
Thank you. Denize, how did you find this previous school time, considering that we had a long lockdown and many of the students had been out of school, and then he came back in school, and it's now, I mean, they're almost making a year back in school after 2 years away. How would you assess how has been the performance and the progress, if any, from your own perspective?
Thank you very much once again, Mr. Martin and Madam Hannah. So, like Madam Hannah said, lockdown was a blessing in disguise, I may call it. Of course, it had the larger extent of it, which wasn't a good perception, especially when it comes to the low class. When you talk about the low class, let's talk about the aspect of villages, children from villages, the ones where you find they wouldn't access anything that is more productive in terms of, apart from the local skills or someone to mentor them in regard to the topic that we're talking about today. But then the last term was challenging at the same time. It was much of a progress because getting some students from the mindset they already had due to the COVID impact was very hard, because most of them went into this lockdown and they forgot about the aspect of what they have to do that is productive. That is why you find a bigger percentage of, especially girls, were not even able to go back to school. But then again, as the curriculum of Uganda and education concerned, it is now for the better, or it is improved, because it is killing very many young people, especially when we talk about these students that are in the new curriculum aspect. They're gaining a lot of skills from the hands-on things that we do from school, and at the same time what they do at home in terms of projects. So I wouldn't take lockdown as something that was so much of a negative aspect. It helped very many students or very many young generation to get hands-on skills, though most of them did not take it to a bigger step of gaining something. I would give an example. For example, the senior 2 class that we are having, the one that literally missed a year in terms of education. It is a class that has faced many challenges and has been a challenge to most of the schools or most of the teachers and the mentors, because they lost a lot and they had a little bit, or they had little time to catch up on very many things. So which was a challenge. But as per the year, by the time the last term was ending, most of them were getting back on track to a larger extent. So I think, to me, I still call it everything a blessing in disguise, because the moment there is a positive impact or a positive output that is coming out of these students, so it means that it wasn't really a big thing in terms of a negative attitude.
Yes, thank you for that, dear Denize. When you say, when you talk, and both of you have talked, but I want to mainly hear from you, Denize. When you say skills, they got skills during COVID. What are the skills you're talking about? What are some of the skills that you're referring to? Before I get back to you, Hannah.
So in these skills, the ones that were lucky enough to access phones or computers, we find that these that were from middle class background or a high class status, they gained a lot from learning online through the mentorship that they were getting from parents, any other responsible citizens. But then when we talk about the low class, the villagers, of course, they were gaining local skills. We usually have a project, or we usually have projects that cover a broad of skills. So we'll find that some of these holiday makers or some of these students and learners, they know how to do hands-on products. Let me talk about the aspect of, let it be weaving or doing pottery. So the local aspects from the resources that they were getting on a local aspect. So the larger extent of these students gained a little bit of skills, and this has been portrayed from the products that they present, from the projects that they make at school right now.
Okay, thank you very much. Over to you, Hannah. You are into this area of skills development, and your parent, you said you do computer systems mainly. What are those skills, fundamental skills that in the previous long lockdown, what are those skills that students really, from your perspective, enhanced, that were better used, and from your experience were more sustainable, to impart and into these young people?
Thank you, Mr. Musiime, and thank you, Madam Denize, for your submissions. Like Madam Denize said, the difference between the skills learned by middle income and lower income classes. One thing that I noticed, and I actually am happy about, is with this 2 years of children being active in school, swamped in books, they have learned skills that we used to call skills for the low income earners or the low status class. The skills, like she mentioned, weaving. When you go to middle income classes, for instance, in Kampala, previously the children were supposed to have helpers at home. All they need to do is have their tablets or their phones or their computers or their PS games, and they wouldn't do any house chore. They wouldn't be involved in activities that middle income or A class would look at something they would want their children to be involved. But when lockdown came in, these skills came in handy. And I have noticed that most of these children have learned baking, for instance. They have learned knitting, and they're earning some money, which was unusual. And if, for instance, this COVID period did come, I don't think it would have shifted to know this is the basic livelihood skill each individual would have. Now, as we speak, like I said, I'm operating in the woods. I have a camp that is going on with children from different classes and different abilities. And in these camps, what we do, we don't only look at doing robotics or doing computer work. We have art, where they will be doing their pieces and they go and make money out of it. We give them projects and they write out what they would want to earn from, which is something that someone in the rural area teaches their children. That is why we have a difference between people who are 50 years and above. They are hardworking. They do not look at a handout. They have a skill. But when we look at the generation, maybe our age, if you're between 30 and 45, there's a difference. There's a difference. The difference is because our grandparents taught their sons and daughters how to work. And we are choosing to teach our children how to be having helpers to do their activities. And that is why we are in the dilemma of unemployment and all that. So COVID came in and gave us a hint, an eye open and say, okay, well, there's life beyond chalkboard, school, office jobs. So you find these skills now that the government actually is interested in giving the youth and the younger generation with hands-on skills, the livelihood skills, the knitting, the carpentry, the detergent production. All these are helpful in life. It doesn't matter how much education you have, how far you have gone, how exposed you have been, but it's about what you have on your hands, the soft and hard skills. I am pleased that we're talking about this, and I would request each parent, or you have a sister, you have anyone that is below 18 years, to encourage them to get a skill. A skill can never die. A skill can never fail. It can't segregate communities. It can't segregate countries. A skill is what we need, and I am happy that Uganda is embracing it, and as the teachers are embracing it. If every one of us embraces livelihood skills and imparting them to these children, I think we are heading to greater heights, and maybe we should be moving out of third world country to maybe second or first. You never know. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I want I mean, we've been talking about skills and you've mentioned some of them, and I had a categorization of the soft. I had a word, the softs. Are there soft and hard? And this goes to you, Denize, and it will be answered by both of you. Are there soft and hard skills, or it's only soft skills? And if so, what are they, and what is the distinction between those two? Denize?
Thank you once again, Mr. Alex and Madam Hannah, for the submission. To my own perspective, there is nothing I would call soft, or specifically soft or hard skill. A skill depends on how much are you willing to put in to learn something new, to learn that skill. Because you might call it a soft skill, but to another person, to this other young child or young kid, it's not a soft skill. You might call it one a hard skill, and it is not a hard skill to another. So it depends how much are you willing to put in terms of the efforts to make this skill work out. So this drives us to the aspect of passion. How much passion do you have to gain a certain new skill? Because everything is about determination and hard work. And the moment you're not determined to do something, it means you're going to find it hard. But the moment you're determined to do it, you'll find that eventually, or at the end of it all, it has become a soft skill. So with this young generation, most of the time they need a little bit of a push. Sometimes they need to be convinced that if you gain this, it is going to help you in one way or another, especially basing on the aspect that right now we are in the WW world. In this aspect, I may call it, or we usually call it, the wild world. When you don't have a skill, let it be hard, let it be soft, it is going to be very, very difficult for them at a certain time, especially basing on the aspect of the population that is growing each and every day, and where unemployment levels are high. So with me, I wouldn't call any skill soft or hard. It becomes soft or hard depending on someone's determination, depending on this child's determination on what do I want first of all, and what efforts do I need to put in to make this all work out. So if this kid is determined, or if this young person is determined to gain a skill, you'll find that one will find it soft or hard. And the ones that will find them hard are the ones that have no interest in learning this skill. For example, I might give an example of playing a guitar or any musical instrument it may be. Someone will find it a hard skill because they're not putting in that extra effort of, I'm really interested in music, or I'm interested in playing any musical instrument because I think it is going to be of help at a point in time. But I'm going to find, for example, baking a soft skill because I'm so much interested in baking. So it all rotates around passion and interest. That is what I would say.
Yes, thank you. Hannah, you've heard of soft, and of course, Denize has explained much of that in our perspective. You've heard of soft skills, hard skills, whatever. What is there a difference? And what are the things that make something soft skills in your own perspective? Yeah, there is this conversation on soft skills and hard skills, and Denize explains it. There's also been another kind of addition to the soft skills that is seemingly becoming quite important and prioritized on top of someone's education, someone's qualification. Many people are beginning to look at interpersonal skills, social intelligence, emotional intelligence. How is a person's judgment in specific situations? How does a person relate with the team, with with others? So, Denize, do you think these are important? That young people are trained and young people are skilled in that area with those kind of interpersonal, skills, and to relate better with people, to take care of themselves. Do you think those are important in addition to the very other skills that require the hands and require the mind?
Thank you, Mr. Alex. Skills are broad. When you talk about skills, you're not talking about just something that is hands-on. With skills, we're talking about equipping someone with a capability or the ability to do something in a better way. So in this aspect, when we talk about skilling, it is a very broad aspect. So the interpersonal relations, we again have something that does with communication, because it is not that each and everyone can communicate. And let it even be us, the mature people. So skilling this young generation with these other different skills that are not just hands-on, the tangible ones, the interpersonal, the communication skills. Then we have an aspect of patriotism and many others that are not just hands-on. So it helps them to be groomed into responsible citizens or responsible people in a near future, because it is quite challenging actually that right now, just like Madam Hannah was saying, that to some extent, you would find that the old generation or the forefathers and grandparents used to teach us on how to do one thing or another. But then there is one thing that is good about this young generation. It is most of the time they have learned very many things through what they get on media, through how they interact with the people that are not in their age bracket. So you'll find that, again, they are learning these other skills that are not hands-on: interpersonal relations, communication. Because when you're talking to me or to any other mentor or teacher, they will tell you that probably if you're in such kind of a class of people, this is how you're supposed to talk to them. This is how you're supposed to address your problem if you have it. You have to observe a certain protocol, or you have to follow a certain hierarchy in order for your problem to be solved or in order for you to be heard. So how this young generation expresses itself and how they handle problems is also part of the skilling, and something that we are a little bit tackling when it comes to how we are teaching these students in the new curriculum based as by Uganda is concerned. So these skills are important, just like these other hands-on skills are important, because it would still be a shame if this young generation had the hands-on skills. They can do the art, they can bake, they can design clothes and so on and so forth. But then how are they going to present themselves, for example, to a panel of people if they want their products to be bought, if they want to stand out and teach their skills, for example, to let it even be a generation that is older than them. So the interpersonal relations, the communication, those are the skills now that will help them to put these other hands-on skills to another level. So all these skills are really very, very important as per the young generation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Hannah, we are asking how important are these other skills that do not necessarily have to do with one's professional competence, but have much more to do with, other personality, the skills that add to one's personality. How important are they, some of these skills, like the interpersonal skills, as Denize has been saying, skills that have to do with emotional intelligence, social intelligence, proper judgment, teamwork, the ability to have, for a person to be a team player. How important are they in skills development, also in career development and personality development of a person? And are they needed in any case? And if so, how do we make sure that they are part of the package that we as guardians, we as caretakers, we as community people are able, in position to train and to impact them on our young people?
Thank you very much, Mr. Musiime, and I'm sorry for stepping into the conversation. I would, these skills are the skills that we would call traditional, if I would say. And stepping back into the older generation. These are the skills that one looks at and say, my dad used not allow me to come back home at this time. My dad wouldn't allow me to talk back to an elder. You know, there are certain things we used to do. And when you look at them, they come back to emotional intelligence that you mentioned. They come back to respect. They come back to interpersonal communication. Why? Because without these skills, there's nothing you can accomplish. And when you look at the generation, the youth that is unemployed right now in Uganda, which is the biggest, they lack these skills. So what are we tasked to do as caretakers, as educators, as a community, as a government, is to come back and say, these are the skills that make a person to live with the other, work with another, progress together. So they are very important, and I am happy we're going back to the foundation and looking at how important they are in our day-to-day life. Recently, I had a chance to train some youth in the western part of Uganda, in the hotel and hospitality sector. And most of the things they were mentioning is not having customer service. But it's not because they don't have it, it's because they don't know. At school, they are taught to cram to pass exams. And when you pass exams, you must go to university. And the only university we have in Uganda is Makerere. You must train to get first grade all through. But where is this paper taking you? It's taking you nowhere. Everyone wants an office job, but yes, you will get it. You can't survive on it when you don't have employable skills, when you don't have the soft skills, when you don't have the skills that makes you your character, that makes you live in a community, that makes you contribute positively to a community. So we need to even embrace much more these skills from our homes. Teach them emotional intelligence, teach them teamwork. Like, for instance, on the camp I'm running right now, we have children from different backgrounds, and ideally, how we would be raised in the .com era is you look at someone and say, this one is rich, this one somehow rich, you know, it is easy to identify. But when these children come to my space, they are all equal, and they know it. They are all equal. Whether you so-and-so's daughter and this one is so-and-so's daughter from opposite classes, you're in the same space. So you have to work together to solve an issue that affects both of you, which I think we have been missing. So I'm happy that we're taking on this mantle, and the government is also picking up the hand and saying this is what we need. And I'm positive that Uganda will be different in the next 5-10 years if we stay on track.
Yes, thank you. And now we go into the final wrap of our, or the final lap of our conversation. We are now going to the takeaways as educationists. What do you advise the parents to do? What do you advise the young people to do during these quite long holidays? I mean, many people are in their vacation, what we call vacation, and that is the transition from one education level to another. Those ones who have finished UCE will maybe in March join UACE. Those ones who have finished their primary living examinations will join UCE, the UCE level, which they will study 4 years. But now there's quite a lot of time transitioning. People who also finished UACE will wait until until around 6-7 months to join university. So many people have a lot of time, young people have a lot of time to work on themselves, to develop the skills that you talk about. Even people who are in their usual holidays, ordinary holidays, young people mainly in secondary school and primary school, they have quite some holidays, 2 months, 3 months holiday, even people at university. So, and we've noticed that these are important skills. Everyone needs them. So how do we optimize this long time to gain these skills? How do we as parents use this chance to help young people? And also, how do young people use this time to help themselves? What are those, takeaways, practical tips or that you would give, that this and that to a listener, to a parent who is watching this show and would want to hear would want to hear more about what to do, the takeaways. Please, I will begin with you, Denize, then we shall go to Hannah.
Thank you once again. So the thing that I would tell the caretakers or the educators is, most of the time, maybe what you, Mr. Alex, would have been calling soft skills. There are some caretakers and educators that take for granted small aspects, or what I may call apparently soft skills. Madam Mana mentioned something of you'll find there is a home where the only people that are relied on are the maids, and you'll find that this family has apparently, or approximately, I may say that 5 to 6 children, but just because they have the maids at home and everything, they feel like everything is taken care of. So now they neglect the aspect of skilling and mentor, the aspect of skills, and the only thing they are focusing on is these children have a holiday package, I may call it, or something. And when it's done, the only thing that they do is watch television, go and play, and so on and so forth. And just be on their phones, doing most of the time things that are less productive. But it's a long holiday, so the holiday makers have to again now take an extra step of making sure that we go into this second part of the chores are very important things. In addition, they teach very many skills that many people take for granted. It is not that many people know how, for example, to cook or to mop. Someone will think that just getting a mopper and you just clean the floor, it means it's clean. But how does it look after this young kid has mopped it? Is it really clean? Or they have just wiped the floor, but it's not clean? So these caretakers have to start from the small things that they take for granted, because these are the small things that are going to help this young generation in the near future. Then again, most of the caretakers still neglect the aspect of mentorship. You'll find that they talk about a variety of very many things, but they never tackle the aspect of mentorship. And by mentorship, what do I mean? It's not that they have to talk about, for example, let it be an aspect of sex education or the minor do's and don'ts, but then it starts from way back, or from when these children are still young, based on the aspect of getting to know what is this and guiding them on the right track. Are they having a skill they are neglecting just because they feel they don't have passion for it? Because indeed, when we neglect these skills in the next years to come, 3, 4, 5 years, we find that we just have a generation that has knowledge and it's up on their heads, but they can't use it to get anywhere. So it will be up to these other students that took a little bit of a bigger step of getting to know that, how am I using the little time that I'm having, or the holiday productively? Am I just using it to be on social media, get on WhatsApp, chat with friends, and so on and so forth? But what am I doing? Then another thing is most of these young children or this young generation, they don't like the dirty kind of projects. By dirty, what do I mean? Now I'm driving to the aspect of agriculture. Even if it would be small pottery work, or just planting something in the small garden they have at home, or even if it's bedding flowers or something, most of them do not want, especially when it comes to the high status uh, class, where you find that everything is given to them on a silver platter. So it still becomes a challenge to this young generation, because just like they say, tables turn. So they have to get to know that in case tables turn, what am I able to do for myself in case what is provided for me is no more? Can I, for example, engage in something that I have learned in the holiday, something that I've put my all to develop, so that in case things do not go very well, I still don't get stranded. So educators and the caretakers at home have to focus on helping this young generation not to go astray. Then another thing is being a teacher of languages. I usually tell the young generation that reading is very important. It doesn't matter what you're reading, but why are you reading? Are you reading to gain something at the end of the day in order to pick out something that is going to help you to develop something? Are you reading, for example, a book, a biography of a certain mentor that tells you how they have strived, how they have handled a certain problem, and how they have succeeded? Then if a child is lucky enough to have an aspect of some family business that is at home, for example, that is something that is a rare case. You find if you have a family business, it means that you have something that you can start up to get to know that how can I gain entrepreneur skills? How can I manage this kind of business that we're having a shop, even if it's a small shop at home? How am I able to know that I'm getting a profit of 200 or 500 on a certain product? And how am I avoiding losses? In case I'm left on a shop, or I'm to work on the shop during the holidays and I make a loss, how am I going to make sure that at the end of the week when I'm balancing myself, I've eliminated the other loss that I've made, so that I can show my parents or these caretakers that I can also be able to handle bigger aspects when they are not around. So I will urge, or my urge is to the caretakers and to the educationists and to this young generation, if they are also able to access this information at a point in time, that using time profitably really matters. Sometimes with these children keep pushing something to the next day, and these caretakers also don't get an extra gap of saying, but why are you not doing this at the time that it is given to you? Something they have to know, that time management is actually also a skill, because you can finish education and miss a very big opportunity at an office, or let it be anywhere, just because you have not been able to manage time. You have missed an interview, or anything has happened just because you haven't been managing time right from your childhood, or right from when you are still young. You're told to do dishes, but you wait for evening time. So it means that you have made it a habit. And that is also something that kills the young generation, that caretakers hardly realize or hardly talk about. I usually tell young children that there are some personality traits, or there are some personal traits that you acquire when you're still young, and you grow up with them until you're very old, because you reach at a point in time and you cannot alter them. because it is very difficult for you because it has become a habit. So this young generation or these young children have to know that what they do right now determines most of the things that are to happen to them in the near future. And the caretakers also have to bear it in mind that what they set these young children to most of the time helps them to a near future. So they have to make sure that in this holiday that they are having, a bigger percentage, at least 90% of this holiday is used profitably. Let them start from the small things, or the things that they call small. If a child doesn't know how to cook, at the end of this long holiday, can they at least cook something small? If they don't know how to clean, at the end of the holiday, do they know how to clean? Then when it comes to these, I've been calling the low status generation, I know most of them have the hands-on skills, but most of them don't have the opportunity to acquire the computer skills, these other skills that require an aspect of injecting in some money. So if they also get an opportunity, can they make a little bit of some money from the little things that they do in the villages, from the digging, from the weaving, and so on and so forth? And they spare like a week. And this will be a help from the caretakers. For example, go to a nearby cafe, and even if they are paying 10,000 for a week, they get to know that at the end of the day, I have learned how to type. I have a little bit of a computer skill. I can also go on this computer and search for something and again something, because all these skills hand in hand, they help this young generation to be successful in future. Because you will find that you have one skill, but you're stuck with it and you're missing an opportunity, or you cannot go to an extra step because you don't have another skill. That is all I may say, Mr. Martin. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Denize, for that. Over to you, Anna. What are those practical pieces of advice that you would give the young people, but also the guardians, the parents, as I should say a must do, or as tips?
Thank you very much, Mr. Musiime. Madam Denize has exhausted almost all of them, and I wouldn't want to dilute it. But I would say, like she mentioned, let the change begin with us from homes, as caretakers, as educators, and us as children. Every little chore or command or advice that is given to us or we see on TV, it's important. It carries meaning. I would strongly encourage parents. We have learned a lot in the COVID lockdowns that it is very hard to be around our own children. And because we learned that, I wouldn't want us to move away from it. It brings in the aspect of mentorship, where these children need us to sit together, observe them, and know their skills, the inner abilities they might not know about themselves. And we vouch for them and encourage them and make sure this inner ability grows to something that is important in future in life. I would also encourage, for instance, these holiday makers going to have a long time with them at home. If a parent is out there, they have friends who have small shops, small supermarkets, big supermarkets. Let the children go out and work. It doesn't change who they are to sit at home and eat food and watch TV. Let them go and work and know the value of earning and the value of money. Even when they're at home in this long holiday, if they can't get where to work, take away the house helpers. the house managers, let them take a leave. This child, this son, it doesn't matter, you have a son or a daughter, let that person take charge and the parents pay them. Then they will know that in this world, there's nothing literally for free. Let them do chores at home, and parents encourage, pay them. It helps them to know the financial bit. It opens their financial literacy. I also would want parents also to involve them in prayer, guide them, because these teenagers, the children we have in faith, they have grown faster than their age. They really need God's mercy. The world is getting crazy and crazy every day with homosexuality going on. You can't know where it is coming from. You can't guard your child in any way unless you pray for them, unless you interact with them at home. I would still say I'm a parent, I'm a mother, I'm an educator. I value our country values, our culture. Let's pray for our children, especially in these long holidays, in this economy that is terrible. Let's pray for them, let's encourage them, let's talk to them so that we help them not to be involved in these vices. Then I also advise if they can afford these camps, educational camps, Christian camps, traditional camps like Chisakate, let the children go there and learn a skill that maybe cannot be learned at home. The rest will be a roller coaster. And I would say thank you, Madam Denize. You have really given us a good pointer that we need this, and it is important. Everyone plays a role in raising this child and enlightening them on how a skill can never be forgotten, how a skill can never segregate communities, can never segregate office, can never. These are the skills that make us who we are and defines our future, defines what we earn and how we earn. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You've heard what the experts have had to say. You've heard what our educationists have had to say. That should be done, that young people should do, and what guardians should do. I believe that we should follow this. We should put this into consideration in our own context, of course, understanding our children better, understanding ourselves better, bonding much more. Holiday time is a time for us to connect with each other. Even the people who are breaking up from work, many of us are breaking off mid-December or thereabouts to go for holidays. It's time for us to connect with our families, with our people, children, guardians. Yes, for those ones who have pets, even with your pets and nature, our surroundings, to garden, to commune with the people in our neighborhood. It's a good time for us to interconnect, to build back that spark that we've always had as a people, for harmony, for better. And I usually have a few tips to give also at the end of the show pertaining the topic. Yes, to develop our skills as young people, as guardians, we have to take extra steps and we have to be radical at that. We have to be intentional in what we want. If we want to raise people who are more caring, allow them time to take care of each other. Allow the older son or the older daughter to help the young ones, maybe showering them, washing, their clothes, having showers. They should also be supervisors of their, young ones. They should be leaders in their own rights or in their own spaces. I encourage for those ones who live in smaller families, perhaps you can give or buy your child a pet. Research has shown that children who have pets at home essentially tend to become better and responsible people after, because they've grown up looking and taking care of something. Gardening is also another thing that helps with personal development and personal character. Each young person can have a garden they're taking care of, can have different things. It's also important for us to take on environment actions, such as planting trees in this holiday. We can challenge ourselves and say, as a family in this holiday, my children are on holiday every week or every month. One will plant a tree. Each child will plant a tree and they'll keep on checking on it every single day, watering it to see its prospects, so that we also contribute to the climate preservation in that way. Reading is another aspect that helps with personal development. Many of us are able to know what we didn't know through reading. We're able to become better people through reading. There are a plethora of books that young people can read, that even us old ones can read on the internet, hard copies, name it. We just challenge ourselves to read a book at least every month, or 2 books every month. That is 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, a book. And of course, for parents, you tailor those books in a way that is conducive to the child. For adults, please read. Let us search for information, because you never know when information is actually going to serve you. But it also helps us understand things that we didn't understand before. It helps us heal our prejudices. It helps us become better people. We venture and search into worlds that we could not have known had we not read. I encourage all of us to utilize this holiday time profitably, but also to become more empathetic towards one another, to forgive one another, to love one another during this holiday time, to connect with one another, and to offer help to one another. No one is too rich to receive, and no one is too poor to give. Thank you very much, and I wish all of you a great week. And thank you to our panelists for putting up this conversation. And thank you to set up a Constitutional Governance and Civic Space TV for organizing this. I've been your moderator, Martin. I wish you a great week and a great festive season.